Shooting, arguably the most important aspect of a first-person shooter. First-person shooters tend to feature a wide range of weapons, and everyone got his favorites. Shotguns for indoor and close-quarter action, pistols as an emergency fallback weapon when everything else fails, rifles for long and medium distance, and let's not forget the obligatory melee combat options. Making combat fun is a big priority in any first-person shooter, as we all know from games like Killing Floor 2 or Left 4 Dead, where shooting takes up about 80% of the game's experience. The revolutionary and groundbreaking game we all know, love and enjoy always seemed to amaze us with how painfully mediocre the weapons feel. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy the combat of Half-Life 2 and its predecessor. It simply isn't the best quality of the game and might be a deal breaker for some FPS fans that never played Half-Life 2 before, which is a big shame, because they are missing out on so much. How the weapons feel is not only due to how effective they are in combat, many more factors play into this. The animations, the uniqueness, and the sounds all play a big part in making combat fun. Of course, I will mostly focus on the sounds of the combat, but I must address uniqueness and originality too before I begin with the sounds. Sadly, Half-Life 2 has not a very unique weapon lineup. You got a pistol, a submachine gun with a grenade launcher attachment, a shotgun that can fire both its barrels, even if it only has one, a hot rebar launcher, or in other words just a crossbow, grenades and rocket-propelled grenades, and finally the more unique weapons like the beloved gravity gun, the AR-2 rifle, antlion pheromones, and the iconic crowbar. If you take a look at this lineup, it is pretty standard for the most part. Let's also not forget that the antlion pheromones are mostly just useful in certain parts of the game, and the AR-2 rifle for the most part is just a stronger SMG. But instead of it shooting grenades, it ejects a dark matter energy ball that bounces across the room. Compared to the first game, there isn't too much variety here. Most weapons in this lineup have rather foreseeable sound design as well. But speaking of the sounds, most weapons have rather reserved sounds. The shotgun could be way more impactful. The pistol seems rather dull, and explosions can sound a bit underwhelming, especially when detonating in the distance, due to the DSP filters the source engine utilizes. The sounds aren't technically bad, but they hinder the flow of the combat quite a bit, which is a shame. The best sounding weapons in my opinion are the SMG, gravity gun, and the alternative fire of the AR-2 rifle. The submachine gun is loud, sounds sharp and dangerous. The SMG overall is rather satisfying to use in my opinion, especially with the grenade launcher combo. Throwing props at Combine soldiers is especially satisfying with the visceral sound effects of the gravity gun, and the alternative fire of the AR-2 rifle features equally high-tech sounds as the gravity gun, and has one of the coolest sounding cooldowns in a video game ever. What really takes the cake here are the reload sounds of every weapon. Something about them is timeless. Unlike the shooting, the reloads sound amazing while being a bit more reserved as well. While the weapons are a bit lacking in multiple aspects, the damage responses of Gordon and his enemies, especially the combat soldiers, are phenomenal. The damage sounds responding to projectiles, fire, drowning and scratches are very iconic, brief and sharp. The player understands immediately what is happening to his character even if he isn't able to see what is happening exactly to him. The death sounds of almost every enemy are very iconic too, especially the Combine's flatlines and the haunting death screech of the Strider. Oh, and let's not forget the fall damage sound effect. The DSP reverberation filters also add onto the overall combat experience. The sounds of combat coming from a distance are put through the DSP filter and function as background atmospheric noise in conjunction with the soundscapes the Source engine offers. The sounds of ragdolls, bullet impact wounds, and other miscellaneous environmental sounds complement the chaotic shootouts that tend to happen in this game. While the combat sound good overall, there are parts of it that are lackluster. The weapons tend to lack a punch, they sound a bit underwhelming. They help build the strange atmosphere Half-Life 2 offers, but it couldn't hurt to make them sound a bit more dangerous. The response sounds though, and the death sounds, they tend to be very good. Sadly, in my opinion, this can't save the combat from mediocrity.